So for this to work inside of Maya, we just want to make sure the only visible subtools that we have are essentially the ones that have layers enabled. So in my case, it's the teeth and gums and the head. And usually what I like to do is make sure that they're all turned off by default. So I'm going to go to Z plugin, Maya blend shapes, and then I'm going to make sure it's set to visible, turn all off. And I'll show you how to send the other stuff as well. So I'll go to export blend shapes. Before I do though, sometimes I like to just check my scaling, and I'll talk a little bit about this. So I'm going to hit Go Z, which will just send the current head to Maya. Maya and Zbrush in this way are somewhat linked in that they both use centimeters. So this object, there's a couple ways to check. One of the easiest ways to check for scale is to go to polygon modeling. I'm going to just create a cube. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is like, yeah, 3.7 centimeters essentially. There's also this thing in here called the scale multiplier. This is my custom interface, of course, and I'll show you where to find it in the non-custom interface, the standard interface. But basically, if you scale this thing, let's say, to roughly 3.7 on height, 3.7, oops. All right. Create another cube. There we go. Let's go to channel box, cube, height, 3.7, there. So that's basically the height of the whole thing from the topmost vertex to the bottom, okay? Now, in my case, I did a bit of math. This character is somewhere in the age range of like 10 to 12. And so for that character's age, typically they're about, on average, a female of that age is something like 138 centimeters tall. And I don't have it in this version, but there is, you can measure it with head heights as well. So usually what I do, if I'm measuring anything with head heights, I'll just duplicate the head. Maybe I'll just turn on the body for now. Take the duplicate of the head. Should make sure it's the right one, not the one with the layers. Yeah, that's the one with the layers. I think they might both have layers. I should double check actually. Yeah, they both have layers, so it doesn't really matter which one I'm using, but I'll take the duplicate, and what I'm going to do is basically use array mesh just to double check proportions. It's a good idea to get this stuff ready before you really get into the rest of the project. So array mesh, it's quite easy. You just simply turn on array mesh. I know this thing should be about 6 head heights high, so I'm going to hit 6 on the repeat, and then increase the Y offset amount here. So I want to go from like top of the head to the bottom of the chin, not necessarily the base of the neck. Okay, so this is pretty close for me to 6 head heights. We don't always necessarily count from the ankles down, so it's usually kind of like a half to a quarter head height high. So for me, the proportions are good. I think this works well, and I did that check much earlier on in my own production. So I'm going to delete this tool, so that's fine. So again, if I'm thinking about the math of this, so from the top of the head to the chin. By the way, if you isolate this, so if I just do a quick isolation with Control-Shift, click and drag, oops, make sure I'm on the right subtool here, Control-Shift, click and drag, this will show the actual height from chin to top of the head, which is 2.5 centimeters. So I'll just quickly open up the calculator. It's a good idea to, yeah, let's see if it's, come on you. Like calculator might crash. Amazing Windows. Amazing. What? Okay, that's the calendar. I don't want the calendar actually. Close you. Again, come on, calculator, you can do it. Okay, so like I said, if we're going 138 centimeters, I'll divide this by, let's say it's about 6.5 head heights, right? So that's about 21 centimeters, okay? So what I need to do is figure out how many times I need to scale this. It's roughly 10 times, right? So if I divide, so this is how many head heights basically I've got, right? And so I want this overall head from chin to top of the head to be scaled to that appropriate size. So I'm going to divide this by 2.5. So it gives me roughly 8.5 as a scale factor, okay? So I'm going to just make sure everything is properly unhidden. So I'll go back here and essentially if I set the scale factor, by the way, like I said, in the standard interface, you have to go into geometry, size, and this is the XYZ, which is the overall object size. So basically, it just shows you the biggest number on any of the 3 axes. And then the scale factor is under export. So this is how I actually export things with proper scaling. So what did I say? 8.5. So basically, that's a multiplier when you export. Okay, so now let's jump back here. All right, we can sort of see its relative size to the grid. And if I go back and just do another quick go Z, I should see it update here to the appropriate scale now. Okay, so this way you know that when you export all the subtools later on for the full production, this thing will not list any scaling, and you've probably learned this in rigging already, right? When you have scaling on the object level, it can screw up a lot of things when it comes to rigging, right? So this is a sort of safe way to make sure that this is like pre-scaled before being brought in. Last thing you want to do is start to label things. So for me, the general naming convention goes from big category, medium category to small category. So in this case, I usually go CHR for character underscore geo, right? Or maybe geo, sorry. Yeah, geo underscore CHR underscore Rachel is the character name. And then I'll just call this head for the character head. So the same thing here. And by the way, if you're lazy, you can kind of just copy this and reuse it, right? So there we go. I'll click on here, rename, paste, and then just put in teeth. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. The eyeballs will basically get split at some point, but for now I'm just going to rename eye, and I can do this in Maya later, it's fine. Eye. Same thing, if I want to split the hair into chunks, I'll probably just call it like hair 1, 2, 3, 4 from front to back. And you can put an underscore at the end as well if you want. So it's good to kind of start categorizing, because the other thing too is you can just kind of do a search in the outliner later on and say, okay, I'm grabbing the hair, or I'm grabbing all geo, I'm grabbing just character mesh, I'm grabbing just Rachel, for example, I'm grabbing just this, right? So it makes it really clean, really organized. Good idea to save your project as well, or your Z tool, I should say. Let me just double check. Yeah, I have to go back in here. Anyways, this machine is running kind of slow for some reason, so I'm going to just cancel that for now. So yeah, I'll just make sure, like I said, my 2 tools are active here, visible. And I'll select, make sure I'm selecting one of the 2 subtools that have blend shapes. I'll just delete this temp head for now. I'll go back to Z plugin and make sure visible is enabled, turn off all for any blend shapes, and then I'll say export blend shapes. I typically suggest not touching anything, because it will take a moment for it to kind of cycle through each and every layer. And I find it can get really slow, so it might take a minute to 5 minutes for this to export. And of course, if you get into more advanced productions, there can be so many blend shapes that it can take a long time, especially if you're doing things at higher res. So I recommend just being patient, take a break at this stage, and come back after a short break. So yeah, be patient. I'm often impatient, so sometimes I'll try to like move a viewport around or something, and it's just not ready. So you want to be a bit patient at this stage. Even here, I'm noticing, there we go. It's actually working good. Okay, so there. So the whole head and all its targets, you might not see it, but if you scroll down, this is, by the way, the old blend shape tool. I'm actually not exactly sure how to get back to it, but there is another version of it which will show you. If you go to Windows, Animation, Shape Editor, this is kind of the newer style of this tool, which I think is a lot more convenient. So you can animate the same with either. Sometimes it's a little more convenient to do key all here, but in this case, when you go in this tool, you can just key by selecting, and we'll get to that in a minute.